I want to publicly state that I think what Fox and IndyCar are doing is freaking phenomenal. Like the commercial that just came out with Joseph, I think was just so well done. It's fun, it's edgy, it's flirting with that line where people do get engaged and you're like, hey, this is different. And I have filmed mine. I have not seen it. I don't know when it's coming out, but it was. I mean, I would say it felt like I was doing a movie shoot. I mean, yeah, it really felt like, the first time I was ever shooting a movie with, all these different scenes. And I think it's going to be a really, really cool commercial. I think you guys are going to enjoy it when you see it. So I can't wait for that. And I'm just excited to see what they come up with during the year. Like they really seem to be, first of all, on it. And secondly, they know what works, and I think that's going to be probably one of the best decisions IndyCar has ever done.
Certainly a big year ahead for the NTT IndyCar Series with this new TV deal, but also big expectations for Pato O'Ward, bridesmaid in last year's Indy 500. What went wrong for him as he couldn't claim the 2024 championship?
Inconsistent, I would say, performance-wise. The good days were great, bad days were horrible. And it just seems to be the name of the game for us the last few years because I just don't think we're at the level where we need to be yet in terms of reliability. I've still made my fair share of mistakes. Like there hasn't been one thing that it's like, hey, let's just fix that. And it's not as simple because, you go to these places and you're so on the edge because if you're not on the edge, you're 20th. That those joker cards, you will have to use them once or twice during the year, but you try and minimize that. But for us, I just think we've had too many of those instances where we're just throwing away points, really. But cleaning that up and making our bad days better will have a significant impact in how we're looking at the end of the season, really.
Someone else on the cusp of a maiden IndyCar title? That's Andretti Global's Colton Herta, who explained what went wrong last season and what the pressure is this year.
Championship or bust this year? Is anything less?
It's always like that, yeah. I mean, I'm not happy with finish. It really sucks to finish second. As nice as it is for that being my highest place, but yeah, it really sucks to be that close and not do it. So it is always kind of need to get that championship. In this year's no different. That's what we're working for.
Where is that gap, you feel like, to Alex? I mean, he was only 31 points up the road. I'm sure you can find a point here, a point there, lots of races. But when you look at that season as a whole, is like where's that final step for you to get to series championship contention?
Yeah, it's pretty easy. There's 4 things last year. Crash at Indy, crash in Detroit, missing the yellow in Iowa race 2 when Alex crashed, and the right front coming off Milwaukee. So those are the big things that we're kind of looking at. And 2 of those are my problem, and 2 of those are the team. So we're trying to right that wrong. And that's something that we kind of picked out as if one of those races goes differently from the position that I'm running in, we have a really good chance at being a champion. So we know we can do it.
Herta's teammate Kyle Kirkwood had a career-best 7th place points finish last year. Here he explains what's different this year as the hybrid goes into full effect. Colegi Motorsports today, you already mentioned how this season going in feels a bit more compact to you, and last year had to feel a bit disjointed with the hybrid coming in the second half of the year. So in terms of your approach heading into the season, what's different this year compared to last year?
Not a whole lot. I would say the hybrid was actually extremely fluid, the transition from non-hybrid to hybrid. I think there was a lot of questions in the air going into it, whether it was going to work or if it was going to cause mayhem within the championship, and it really didn't. It was a very fluid change and very productive, I think. At least so for this year. I mean, given that it's more compact, it doesn't really change much. It's honestly harder on the teams than it is for us drivers, because the turnaround time is not very long. So for us drivers, I mean, we go back and we take a day off and then we go back to training or preparing for the next race, the teams, they won't really get that luxury. So it's really going to be trying to manage that and trying to keep the teams in a good state of mind through the middle part of the season.
The third member of the Andretti trio is Marcus Ericsson, who's trying to rebound from a rough first season with the team.
Last year was it's definitely a disappointing year result-wise for me, but I felt like I was laying a good foundation for this year. So I'm really excited to be back with Andretti for a second year with the same core group on my car. Used to sort of start off every weekend knowing what we did last year is going to be a big thing for us. And I feel like the potential is really high. Working with Colton and Kyle was great last year. Two really good guys and good drivers. So to continue that and sort of keep that group together, I think it's going to be really important for us.
Marcus, obviously you started in the Formula ranks and were part of that growing trend of drivers to make the move to the States and race in IndyCar. When you see a team like Prema come onto the grid, do you think we could see that evolution continue where we see more teams from the European side get involved with the sport here in IndyCar?
Yeah, I do. I do think there could be more teams looking at it. I think IndyCar is moving in a very positive direction at the moment. There's a lot of cool things happening. The field right now is stacked with talented drivers and teams. And I think, Prema coming over here is a sign of that as well. It's one of the most successful teams in Europe in all motorsports. They are, winners in everything they do. And being from Europe, I know how well respected and how good they are in Europe. So it's very exciting for us to have them come over, and it's going to be cool to see them race here and then follow on, their season. I'm sure they're going to be mixing it up soon, early in the season already, and they have two good drivers as well. And I definitely, when I'm back in Europe and speaking to people in Europe, there is, compared to say 10 years ago before I went over, I feel like there's a lot more interest around IndyCar. There's a lot more people following IndyCar over in Europe and seeing it as a very strong option for your career. So I definitely think that we're going to see more of that, both on drivers and teams, in the next few years.
Speaking of internationals making their name in IndyCar, Scott Dixon is now a quarter century into his IndyCar career. Dixon explains his view on the new Fox package.
Yeah, I think it's big. I think that's kind of what you always ask, even from partners in the past, and sometimes it would kind of click and sometimes it wouldn't. But it seems like out of the gate, they're really excited. They're wanting to make this bigger and better, which is what you really want from partners. So I'm excited for it. I think, a lot of the sports side of it, whether it's been with the NFL or other forms of sports throughout the year or throughout kind of the off season, has been exciting to see. So, a lot of things in the works. I haven't done any of the sets yet today, but I've heard they're pretty extensive, which is exciting too. But yeah, just hope they can blow this thing up, man, and be great for everyone.